Hello and welcome to this beginning tutorial on Bsurfaces. Bsurfaces is probably one of my favorite tools inside a Blender, and it is an add-on. We do have it for free, although this used to be a paid-for add-on only. So if we go up to File and User Preferences, in the Add-ons tab, if we just type in Bsurface into the search window, you'll see Mesh, Bsurface, GPL Edition appear. You can then place an X in the little box, which makes this active, and click on Save User Settings. And then go ahead and close your Preferences window. That'll be sure that this is added on every time that you open up Blender now. So I'm not going to be able to explain everything all at the beginning, so we're going to take it a little slow and just show you the basics of this at first. What Bsurfaces is it's drawing lines that are made with the grease pencil, but they can be translated into either edge loops or curves. We're going to concentrate on the edge loops for today and a few rules about using them. One of the things that you need to know is that you cannot use Bsurfaces in object mode. It is an edit mode tool. You have to have something in edit mode as well in order to go into edit mode. So I'm going to use Shift and A, and I'm going to add a mesh plane. When I add this mesh plane, I want to show you another little thing about Bsurfaces before we even get started with it. I'm going to use RX90 and enter to turn that to face me. And I am in front view mode, front ortho view. So what we need to know before we really get started with this is that we're going to be using our grease pencil, but we're going to be doing it based on our cursor. Now, I'll explain all these settings in a moment. For right now, though, I'm just picking an ink color that I can see because I can't see black well in the black background here. What it means when we're using a grease pencil with the cursor settings selected means that we're going to draw wherever the cursor is. However far away from us in front view mode that this cursor is where our drawings are going to be. So if I draw a squiggly line here, it looks like it's on the plane, but it's really not. The plane happens to be where the cursor is, as is this stroke. So if I turn my scene around, you can see that if I move the curve, the plane, my line drawing is still there. It has nothing to do with the plane. They just happen to be in the same place. If I have my screen turned this way and I draw some more, I'll be drawing where the cursor is, how far away from me it is. So you can see that that shows up right in the middle of where it is. My screen was actually tipped. It wasn't in a straight view like that, so that's why it does look a little crooked. If I do that again, you can see it goes right through the center of that cursor. So again, no matter what your view is in cursor settings, wherever your cursor is, that's how far away from you you're drawing your line. Now, I'm going to go ahead and delete this layer because I don't need it anymore to get rid of all of that. And what we're going to be doing today is keeping our view in front ortho and always drawing where the cursor is. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of, well, actually I'm not going to get rid of it. Let me just put this back to the middle of the scene. I am going to scale this way down, and I am going to put it in edit mode, and I'm going to push it to the side. The reason that I'm pushing this to the side while in edit mode is so that my origin stays right here where it is. I'm also going to deselect all of my verts here or my geometry because I don't want that to be involved with what I'm drawing. If I were drawing something and had this selected, they would be connected. So I don't want this connected. I'm only having this here so that I'm allowed to be in edit mode. Once in edit mode, You can then go ahead and get your grease pencil set up. The only thing we really need to do is click on the new layer and choose a color. Again, black cannot be seen so well on my screen, so I'm just going to change that color one more time. And cursor is set, but cursor is set usually by default anyways. Then I'm just going to go ahead and close up this end panel. And you can see that all I've got here is a 3D viewport. That's all I really need for what we're doing here today. It's going to be important that you use your operators panel today. You can either use it from here in the lower part of the tool shelf, or you can use your F6 key to bring that up on the fly as a menu wherever, of course, your mouse is. You will need to know some basics about working in Blender. In order to do this, you need to be a little comfortable with what you're doing. We do want to make sure, though, that the entire time we stay in front ortho. That's extremely important because we want this all to be nice and flat because of where we're using our cursor mode. Okay, so how do we get started? Well, it's really easy. We just draw lines. There are a few rules to the lines we draw, and the first one is that we always want to draw very purposely, beginning to end, in the direction that we want to, because the top of the line where you start your line drawing is going to be the beginning of the edge loop, and all of the beginnings will be connected together. We also want to make sure that we draw them in the order that we want them. You can't draw lines and then go back and draw another and expect Blender to know which way you meant them to be. It only knows which way you did put them in there, and we'll see an example of that. I do in the beginning, I turn off loops on strokes. I choose not to use this, although I'm sure there are times where this comes in handy, and I'll show you I'll show you how that works in a minute. So how do we draw with the grease pencil? Well, it's simple. If you hold down your D key and use your left mouse button, you get a line. If you hold down your D key and use your right mouse button, you erase. So again, D and left mouse draws, D and right mouse erases. And you can see here that I clicked with my left mouse button, so I kind of went off center there. Alright, so it's really kind of important too that our origin be in the center here. It's always nice to have it centered because you never know when you're going to need to use a tool or a setting that really does take into account the placement of the origin. Okay, so when we draw things, again, you want to make sure that you draw them beginning where you want them to start and ending where you want them to end. So I'm just going to draw two lines here. Again, I started them both at the top and ended at the bottom. And when I click on Add Surface, you'll see that by default a 10 by 10 piece of mesh is made, 10 across and 10 down. These do have different names. The ones that go in the same way that you draw are called follows. So the first one that I drew was this line here, and this was the last one. So when it says in your settings, follow of 10, that means the first one is counted as 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. And the next one here that I drew would be considered the next number 1. So as I increase this, you can see that the number of these follows increase. Now crosses, on the other hand, go from the top to the bottom, and they go across your follow lines. In this instance, though, the first one isn't the first cross. The second one is the first cross. So this is cross number 1, and this here is cross number 10 down here. So let me go ahead and get rid of these pencil marks. Whoops, wrong mouse button. So let me just go ahead and get rid of those real quick. And this is by default 10 by 10. And this is what you get with loops and strokes turned off. You get 10 from beginning to end, no matter what you've drawn in the middle. So let me border select this and delete it and show you what I mean. Now if I draw a line here, and a line here, and up here, and down here, I've started them all at the top, I've ended them all at the end down here, and they were all drawn in order. Now, when I do my add surface, I'm still going to get 10 going from beginning to end. That's just the way it is. It gives you a straight 10 by 10 piece of mesh. And there we go. The middle lines that I drew, what they did was they helped determine the shape of this mesh. So now I have what looks like it's a little wavier. And I can increase the number of follow. I can increase the number of cross. And you can see, well, looks a little wavier, doesn't it? A little smoother. But again, these numbers are by default, like I said, 10 by 10. And I got a little sidetracked there in my thinking, because I want to show you what loops on strokes does now. So if I turn loops on strokes on, and I draw, let's say, a line here, and a line here, and then a line all the way over here. And now I do add surface. Remember, this is checked on. By default, I don't have 10 anymore. Now I have a follow of 3. 3 is the default. So now what I have here is I have a follow of 3 after each of my number ones. So I drew this one, and this one, and this one. So this is 1, 2, 3. This is 1, 2, 3. So it's going to do 3 faces, or 3, as you can see here, 3 edge loops this way. And if I increase this, you can see now that I'm getting a bunch of them down here in this first section, where in this section they're getting spread apart. They have the exact same number. They have 12 fit between each one of the strokes. So anyways, this is why I like loops on strokes turned off, so that I have that default of 10 by 10, and then I can arrange that, or adjust that any way that I need to. Okay, so the second thing that I mentioned was that we need to know how to actually see that you have to add these in order. So if I were to draw a line here, and a line here, and a line here, and then say, I want one over here too, so let me go here and put one. This is not actually going to work for us, because Blender doesn't see these 4 strokes in a row. Blender sees this is stroke 1, this is 2, this is stroke 3, and this is stroke 4. And that's exactly how it's going to connect them. So let me turn loops on strokes off and add surface. And you can see what happened. Blender connected all the tops, but it also connected them in the order of which they were drawn. So it drew from the first to the second to the third to the fourth. And so you have to be careful, like I said, not just where you start and end your line, but the placement of it as well. There are lots of times where you want to do stuff like that, and that can be handy, but as a general rule, starting off, you probably want to practice doing them, without going backwards through it. And now let's go ahead, and I'm going to make just a simple 10 by 10 piece. So let me go, here's one, and here is the other, and I will add surface. So when you have mesh made like this, and it can be, just this plain geometry that you made just now, or this could be something else that you've been working on already. Sometimes you want to add to what you're doing. This isn't, okay, done. I don't want to go extracting things. I don't want to bring in mesh and join it. Maybe I still want to draw on here. add to this. So what we can do is, let's go ahead and pick like 5 follows, and you could tell that are crosses. These are the ones that went across, and I'm going to draw this line. Now this line is a follow right here, and it has a predetermined number of vertices that cross it. So we're not going to be able to change the cross settings in the preferences here or in the operators panel, but we will be able to change the follow when the time comes. So with these selected, and if I come over here and draw another line like this, this can get connected to this. And this is exactly why I wanted to deselect that plane at the beginning, because I don't want my line connecting to it. So when I add surface, I'll get the 10 by default going across here as the follows, but you'll see I don't have a cross here because the cross number is already determined, and I can't change it on this new piece because it has nothing to match up with on the other side. Okay, so let's try that one more time. I'll come up here and I'll select some of these, and I will make a follow line where I want it to go up to, like maybe here, and then add surface, and you can see again 10 by 10 up there. Now you may be wondering why my mesh looks funny, and it's probably because some of these faces, when you draw things out, your normals don't always go in the direction that you expect them to. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select these faces for now, and I'm going to go to my normals and flip the direction, and that should be good. Okay, so that's how you can add on to geometry in one direction. But let's say you wanted to add geometry to fill in a square here, with on 2 sides. Well, that's possible as well. So you just pick like the ones that you want on this side, connect to the ones that you want on this side. Now the thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to select the one in the center, because if you select this one, Blender just sees this as one long line that happens to be L-shaped. It doesn't see it as 2 separate lines that you want to connect together. So let me deselect that. Now either one of these I can draw a follow to, and the cross will match on both of them. So if I do a line here and I do add surface, you'll see that it fills it in for me. It matched up this number to the number down here of vertices and filled it in, and even incorporated that corner one there, even though it wasn't selected. So you can do that with any number. So like I can choose, let's say almost all of those there, and maybe just those here. And if I draw a line like this and do add surface, you'll see that it adds. You do have to draw that line from the edge outward. If you try and draw it from the outside downward, it won't work. So let me just show you that real quick. If I select these here, and now I draw my line up here and bring it down and add surface, see, it gets all twisted. It doesn't work that way. So if you ever get that, just know that you probably drew your one line in the wrong direction. You got to start it near the edge and work your way out, and then you can add your surface to it. And again, these are all backwards, but that's okay. I can fix those at any time, as you saw like I did with these. So that's basically it, and you'll notice that this is all flat, completely flat, because every single line that we drew according to where the cursor was, and the cursor hasn't moved, so these were all in the same place. So something else that's really fun about this is that you don't have to do just flat lines. Let me flip these again real quick because they bother me. You can do curly lines and wiggly lines, and you can add them wherever you want as long as your geometry matches up. So like these ones here didn't have to match because we were doing a cross and a follow, which means we were connecting a cross to a follow. These ones here we were doing a follow to a follow. And so we're going to be doing follow to follow again. And let me show you what that could be like. So let's say I have these 3 edges selected, which is 4 verts. So this is like 3 follows. And you're going to have to pick exactly the same geometry. So let me come down here and I'll pick the same. So basically 4 verts, 3 edges. And now if I go in the same direction and I make follow lines, so I have to just make them all in the same direction. So, or maybe not in the same direction, but I have to make them in the direction that I mean for them to be. Each one of these starts where I want them to start, because all the starting points again are going to be connected. That's just the way that it does it. So with all those silly lines drawn, if I do add surface, so let me go back to my tools, you'll see that it does it all the way around. And it's a little choppy because of course it's doing 10, the whole length of this, and I definitely drew more than 10 lines, but you can increase your number of follow, and you can see that it respects the lines that you drew. It becomes more curvy to match that. So that part's done, and you can do this over and over again. Here's 2 lines, and there's 2, and you can draw here or here and here and add surface. There is one little, it's not really glitch, but you know, if you're gonna say pick these 3 and then pick these 3 and do follow to follow, and you just draw 1 line, it's not going to be enough. So when you do add surface, you see you get this up here that at least 2 strokes are needed, and you need to have at least 2 of them going from a follow to a follow, but not when you're connecting follows and crosses. So if I were to erase this and choose these and then draw this line and add surface, you'll see that it connects just fine for us. So this is how you start using Bsurfaces for flat geometry. You can do this with all kinds of things. This is just the very beginning. So practice with this, have fun, and I'll see you in the next tutorial sometime soon. Thanks.